You know, guys, this past week, coffee has been my best friend.
So you're not doing tea anymore, or what?
Well, I go back and forth with tea and coffee, but last week it was more focused on coffee.
What was the transition?
The transition?
Maybe I should say the reason. Because you were a tea guy for a while.
Yeah, no. Well, you know, at one point I did lose my voice, and then I'm like, oh, okay, green tea and honey? This is pretty good, right?
It was the residuals of hangover from England where you're like a tea guy there. They're big on tea in England, right?
Yeah, they are. They really
So that's
are.
what it was.
Yeah, but no reason really to be specific. It's just I needed coffee.
Sure, that's fair.
But here we are, a crazy week of high school football, section playoffs for volleyball and water polo. Welcome to the Cover Cal High podcast. I'm your host, Jake Vanderbrook, alongside Tyler Flipson. Nice haircut, by the way, my man.
Thank you.
And Adrian Soriano, and yes, he's looking at the right camera this time. He's 2 for 2 if you're comparing it to last week. So now we're going to go over some scores from the final week of the regular season for high school football, and we start in the WCAL. And those Reardon Crusaders are on a roll, beating St. Francis 34-24. Sarah, a big win for those Sarah Padres out in San Mateo, beating Valley Christian 29-3 on their senior night. And Sacred Heart Cathedral getting the job done, beating Bellarmine 35-10. The Bells finish the 2024 season 0-10.
You know, that's really, really sad.
That's tough. That's
really
tough.
sad.
2 Fs, T-U-F-F, tough. But Reardon upset City, though. That's crazy. Who saw that coming? I personally didn't, without talking about it too much. But
Hey, you know what? Reardon's starting to figure it out defensively.
they're starting to figure it out.
And they beat Sarah the week before.
Yep.
All right, well, let's go on over to Menlo Atherton and Wilcox, where Wilcox surmounts the Bears 30-21. And then we have a little coastal school showdown between Terra Nova and Half Moon Bay, where Half Moon Bay gets it done by a margin of 8, 16-8 final there. And then the Valpo Bowl, where you have Menlo and Sacred Heart Prep, where Menlo gets it done by a score of just 3, 20-17.
Close game.
Close game.
You know, Jake, you were right. You were on point with Marin Catholic and Windsor on our last episode, right? Wasn't easy.
That's
Well,
good.
guess
I
what?
told you it was going to be a war.
Hard-fought victory for Marin Catholic, 24-21 over Windsor. And then we go to the island of Alameda for the Island Bowl. They
Is that a self-proclaimed title or is Island Bowl?
That's what it is.
It
It's the
is.
Island
It's
Bowl.
the
Oh,
Island
is
Bowl.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, I learned
Yeah.
something new. I'm so sorry.
There you go.
I take it back.
All
You're
good,
right,
all
man. You're
good.
right. Well, Alameda won over Encinal, 42-7. And then this was our
Yeah.
Econ had this game on Friday.
Yeah.
What a crazy game.
Jealous.
54-48 California over Amador Valley. Jaddy's lucky. He was feeling lucky on Friday night. 7 rushing touchdowns? Yeah, 7 rushing touchdowns.
That's a lot. I think that's a
insane.
few. I think that's a couple. I was jealous. I mean, yeah, that's a heck of a game. It felt weird. I wasn't working Friday with you guys, but
I wasn't working Friday either.
Well, yeah, you weren't either. That's right. But keeping up the scores, we have our group chat, and when Nikon was just sending score updates with that was bizarre. I mean, beyond exhilarating. I'm so glad we covered that because that initially wasn't in the works, right? We weren't necessarily gonna.
We weren't gonna shoot it until Robert said, "Oh, California Amador Valley, we should definitely shoot this." So I mean, hey, I have to. He's our boss, so.
That Bronstein guy's onto it sometimes. He sometimes gets it right.
He played the hey, we're shooting this game card, so hey, put it on, and he gets all the credit for that, man. Because I wasn't gonna put that on the schedule last week. So
Yeah,
There we have it.
That's a great win for Cal.
Yeah.
On the road, in overtime, you know, you're trying to look for some confidence heading into the NCES Open D1 bracket. There's your confidence right there.
Yeah.
And Cal, they were able to lock up the 6th seed. And now we're going to start talking about the playoffs starting with the NCS D1 bracket. So you got De La Salle, number 1, Pittsburgh, number 2, SRV, number 3, and then number 4, that big battle up north, Marin Catholic, number 5, Newman, 6, you got Cal, number 7, you have Clayton Valley, and then number 8, San Marin.
I think looking at both this NCS and eventually we're going to get CCS, the main thing is we're going to get a lot of rematches, exciting rematches that we saw earlier in the season that we'll see run it back here for playoffs. I mean, and that's what we've talked about all season long leading up to this, right? And this is what I live for. Playoff football, man, it gets me giddy ear to ear. So, yeah, this NCS Open and D1, both of those divisions are going to be incredible.
Yep, absolutely.
Fireworks.
Well, I think, again, you look at this bracket, obviously, on the open side of the bracket, I've said it all year, right? Pittsburgh is probably the only team that could beat De La Salle. And, is this the year? Is this the year it's finally going to happen? De La Salle hasn't lost a section title game in, seems like forever. And, ironically, the last team to beat them in a section title game was Pittsburgh, like in 1991, if I don't get that wrong.
Early 90s, yep.
Yeah, so, is this finally the year? I don't know. But, man, I feel bad for San Marin. I feel so bad for them.
What do you feel bad for them for?
Well, so, they should not have been in the Open D1
oh,
bracket.
sure. I see what you're saying.
But when the news broke out, I think last week,
Regarding
El
El
Cerrito
Cerrito.
was banned from the playoffs. So that
Which-
basically pulled up San Marin to the Open D1 bracket. So very, very unfortunate for those Mustangs. But, hey, you know what? They're very excited for the opportunity to play a good team.
Let's look at glass half full. Exactly. You're getting the opportunity. It's no secret they're coming as the underdog in this, in this division, right? So, personally, from a coaching or player's perspective, I don't think I want to be the favorite. I want to be the guy that's kind of counted out, ruled out, like, cast aside. They're not a team to worry about, right? And you have no bigger advantage than being the underdog because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's exactly their case. But here's what it comes down to, in my humble opinion, is that I just don't see anyone beating De La Salle. The only team that has a shot
They're
is
absolutely
Pittsburgh.
the favorites.
Yeah.
They are. I would love to see an upset. I say it every single game, no matter the matchup. I'd love an upset, but De La Salle is just way too darn good.
Yeah, and just remember, whoever wins that Open Division final, if De La Salle wins, they'll most likely represent the Open
That's right.
division
Yes.
for the NorCal come state time. And then the loser of that game, just remember, they get a second chance.
Yeah.
They get to play for the D1 title.
Yep.
The game that I'm really looking at in this NCS Open D1 bracket, Cardinal, Newman, Marin, Catholic.
Love it. I know.
They get to do it again.
Yeah.
K&F Sherapur and that Wildcats offense was able to put it together with a hard-fought victory over Windsor 24-21. Cardinal Newman got back to their winning ways. They were able to roll in their dominant victory over Vintage. So what are we going to see this time? This is going to be a very interesting game. Let's see what Cardinal Newman can do this time. Let's see if they learn from the mistakes from their game last time. They played a little over 2 weeks ago. Let's see what happens this time. I think this is going to be a very exciting game.
What'd that score come down to last time? Do you
It was
remember?
13-3.
It was defense.
man. Yeah,
Defense
10-point game.
dominated the game,
Yeah.
right? Listen, hey, Cardinal Newman, they're young, man. They're, like I said, I think last week, man, their quarterback, he's a freshman, but damn, he does not look like a freshman. He's a big man.
Yeah,
Sure.
For a freshman quarterback,
Sure.
so, let's see what he does. And, it's not going to be his first, or last time in the playoffs. They're going to be back next year.
But
and the
this
year after
would
that.
be his first rodeo.
This would be his first rodeo, So let's see what happens.
Yep.
And it's at Marin Catholic again. So,
Yep.
maybe that head-to-head actually did. Because we were looking at projections, right? Like, why is Cardinal Newman, like, ahead of Marin Catholic? So I guess
They got it
head-to-head
right.
thing-
They fixed it.
So.
Are we
They
taking the
fixed
trip
it.
up there this time?
No,
No,
we're
not
not.
this time.
Well, it's a Saturday afternoon. So,
Not it.
I wish we can. I really wish we can, but we have water polo
Absolutely.
championships this week
Yeah.
too.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Yep. Big
Yeah,
game.
no, the NCS, I mean, it's an exciting one. I mean,
Yep.
all the way around, I'm exhilarated. Playoff football, it's here, it's happening. Can't wait.
And going through the other divisions, a couple other divisions in the NCS. Division 2, Liberty, they're getting the top seed. They're going to be going up against 8-seeded Vintage. Bishop O'Dowd
Monta Vista
going up
again.
against Monta Vista.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
close
big
game.
That was a big week 3 clash
Way back. Feels
out
like-
in Danville. This time it's at Bishop O'Dowd. When these two teams played the last time, O'Dowd won.
Yes, right. And I was there.
By
Yeah.
margin of how much?
I think it was like 3
It
points.
was a 3-point game.
3-point
So
affairs.
It
Love
was
it.
It was at Monta Vista though. So
Yep.
Sure.
now it's at Bishop
In the
O'Dowd,
Dragon's Den, sure.
Let's see what happens.
Yep.
Yo, O'Dowd is hot right now.
Oh, I get
They're
so
hot.
giddy.
And by
I
the
get
way,
so
shout
excited.
out to Brandon Mason, the dancing ref at Bishop O'Dowd. Man, hey, he always has a lot of fun out there in the sidelines.
He's
so,
always officiating those Dragons.
yeah.
Always officiating those Dragons. And then running down the list for Division II, Amador Valley. So despite the loss that they took, they are going to be the 2 seed in D2, and they're going to be going up against Las Lomas.
That's an interesting game too.
Interesting.
But let me tell you this. This is interesting. 3-seeded Windsor is going up against 6-seeded Casa Grande. And according to Max Preps and the NCS website, this game is played at Casa Grande High School.
As a 6 seed, why?
Oh, okay. So I think what it is the NC has a rule. If you're a league champion, it does not matter what your seeding is. You get to host a
home field
playoff
advantage.
game. You get to host a playoff game, even though technically Casa Grande is the away team.
Yep.
But they're league. I believe they're league champions, so they get to host that. Game.
Okay.
And what if they're both league champions? Then does it come down to seeding?
Yes. So if
Well,
Windsor
Windsor wasn't league
yeah,
champs. It
Windsor
was
wasn't
Marin
league
Catholic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Windsor is in that league with
Marin
Oh,
Catholic.
I
Cardinal
see. I'm
Newman.
sorry.
So
I was
that
missing.
brand
Got
new.
it.
Yep.
We're still getting used to it. That's okay.
Sure, sure. I know. They switch it up on us. How dare they?
I know.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Wow. So
Yeah.
it's a 6 seed getting home field advantage. That's
Yep. So
unique.
Yep. So we did talk a little bit about Marin Catholic, the reigning state champs. The other reigning state champs from last season, the Acalanes Dons, they're going to be the top seed in D3. They're going to be going up against 8-seeded Dublin. Heritage going up against James Logan. That's an interesting
That's an
matchup
interesting
right
matchup.
there.
Huh.
Campolindo is going to represent the 2 seed as they'll host Berkeley. And then Northgate going up against San Leandro.
Yep.
That's also an interesting game.
Yep.
Unique. I know. I'll be there Friday for that one.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what to expect out of that one. I mean,
Yeah.
I've personally got zero coverage on either team. I know we have as a show, but I haven't. So
I think Ivan shot San Leandro.
he for
He
sure
did.
has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we shot Northgate football though, right?
I don't remember. I don't think we did.
Interesting.
But I could be
Well,
wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I'm
know.
gonna do my homework.
Okay.
I'm gonna do my research. I'll come
Okay.
into it, but I'm looking forward to that one. Like you said, interesting matchup and unlikely matchup between those two teams. So and that's
You know, you can go
Walnut
to
Creek.
I'm pretty sure Jake will vouch me for this. We highly recommend you go to Muya's Burgers. It's right there.
Overrated.
It's right next to.
Overrated.
Really?
I've
Oh
had
my-
it.
come
They had one
on,
in Los
what?
Gatos for a while where I grew up, and yeah, no.
I think this one's better.
Overrated.
No, this one's better.
Overrated. This is a high school sports show, not a Mooyah propaganda push.
Booyah
Hey,
for,
we love burgers though, man.
booyah for the booyah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, jeez. Here comes the corn. The corn jokes are on their way. On their way.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's switch over to the CCS.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
This is an interesting bracket. Let me
Yes, it
tell
is.
you. Very interesting. Open D1 bracket. St. Ignatius will be the 1 seed.
Again.
St. Francis will be number 2.
Yep.
Reardon will be the 3 seed. Number 4, the Serra Padres.
I can't
Yeah.
believe they creep their way
4
that high.
WCAL teams. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Right there. 5 Los Gatos.
Okay.
Didn't win league, but they're still going to be the 5 seed. Number 6, I believe the 6 seed is not Salinas.
No,
SoCal.
Salinas is 8.
SoCal
SoCal's
is 6, I believe.
yeah. Yeah.
SoCal is 6. Number 7, Valley Christian, and then Salinas will be the 8 seed for this. So when you're thinking at this and you're wondering, how in the world is St. Ignatius the 1 seed? Well, the point system. They implement the point system. They think that is more important, and this is the CCS we're talking. The point system is more important than the head-to-head matchup. St. Francis went on to beat SI
Yep.
Sure did.
when these two teams played, but in this case, that doesn't matter. Now, if St. Francis won this game last Saturday over Reardon,
There
we
would not be a problem.
We would not have this discussion, and
Yep.
St. Francis would be the 1 seed. So, Adrian, I want to go to you and just ask, What do you think of the point system? Do you think that should speak more volume than the head-to-head matchup?
You know, I think you definitely have to consider the head-to-head matchup, right? But what the CCS does is they use the Cal Preps rankings.
Right.
They do the top eight, next eight, until we get to like 40 teams. So I don't mind the point system. I don't mind it, right? I think what happened was, and I can't really confirm this, is St. Francis played De La Salle. Obviously, they lost. So I don't think they got the bonus point for playing De La Salle was like a league champion or something like that. I don't know what it is exactly, but that's just what I'm assuming. But I have to give credit to the Central Coast section. This bracket is absolute chaos after what happened with Reardon, right? Because like you know you had SI who beat Reardon, lost to St. Francis. St. Francis lost to Reardon.
Yeah.
And then St. Francis beat Sarah, but Sarah lost to Reardon. So it's like how can you right? So I guess the points in that situation, then the point system will work because then it's just a mess to try to figure out.
Okay.
I really do feel like I think there's a value in this point system. I feel like it should come down to power rankings. Like I feel like that was St. Francis.
They do use it. They do use power rankings.
But if that's the case, St. Francis should have never lost that 1 seed. I think SI should have been the 2 or 3, but because of that loss to Reardon, more or less, drop them down. I think it's a little bizarre. St. Francis, I mean, that was their spot to lose, but 1 loss to a solid, getting hot Reardon team.
Yeah. And the one thing that, that just circled up in my mind is like, if you think about it, if St. Francis and St. Ignatius win their first round matchups,
they're
going to
play again.
Yeah.
They're going to play again.
I would love that.
And the seedings in that case wouldn't really matter.
Sure. Yeah.
Because the game, it's not going to be at their schools. It's not.
Site.
It wouldn't be at SI or St. Francis. It would be at a neutral site. So it could possibly be at San Jose City College or the College of San Mateo or at Kezar Stadium. I could see them hosting the Open Division. It's very possible, but. I mean, I guess the only difference is in that situation, if everything goes as planned Friday with those 2 teams winning their first round matchups, one team's going to be wearing their home uniforms and the other team's going to wear their away uniforms. You know what I mean?
So I guess it doesn't really matter. But, speaking of the power point system, losing to Reardon, since they're co-champions now, I think they get like a certain amount of points for being like the outright champion, so that was cut in half. So maybe that was the difference in like having SI as their 1 seed and St. Francis as the 2 seeds. So
I agree with what you guys are saying, and it really doesn't matter. You're right, it doesn't. At the end of the day, go out there and win, or not. They're gonna be wearing the home jersey or the wager. That's a great point. But who does matter too is those Lancers, because for them to them I'm telling you, it's going to be a disrespect thing. Like, oh, damn. It's like that, Like, you're going to take us out of that 1 seed spot? Like, just like that. It's going to like...
System, right?
Totally. But to them, I'm sure they felt like that was their place to lose and they didn't deserve that. And what all that's going to do is like, okay, let me go prove you wrong. That's going to light a fire underneath their tail coming into this.
Absolutely. And remember what happened last year. St. Francis was the 2 seed, and they entered this first round matchup against Wilcox. And they were stunned.
Sure.
They lost to Wilcox. It was one of the biggest upsets in the section.
Yeah. I think, they're better this year. They're a
lot better this year. Absolutely.
Now, give credit to SoCal, right? The record is like 7-3 or something like that. But hey, don't let that record fool you, man. They played a lot of good teams.
Yep.
Schedule tough. At San Ramon Valley, I think.
Yeah.
I think they played San Ramon Valley on the road.
That was that 14-7 game, right?
Yeah. They almost won.
One-score game.
Los Gatos, they almost beat Los Gatos.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, we love an underdog. Give me a sleeper team.
Maybe.
I think if you think about it, I think Saturday's game against Reardon, that was a good loss for St. Francis because they played a lot of close WCAL games. You look at that first WCAL matchup with Midi. And then you look at their game against Sarah. Those are some close games right there. They had to make some big second half adjustments against St. Ignatius.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
my
this is a
gosh.
good loss. I would rather have this situation now because you could be rolling in WCAL. You could be the champs and whatsoever. And, you know, you could have that first round matchup where you could face adversity.
Yeah.
And the tension is going to be very high in that moment. I'd rather have that loss in the final week of the regular season so you can buckle down, prepare, and lock in and give the kids the message and say, hey, remember what happened last year in the first round? We cannot have that happen again. So I think this was a good loss for those Lancers.
No, that's a fantastic point for you to bring up because, the most important thing I know what coach is looking out of that is come out healthy.
Right.
Because, of course, they want to win that game. A league match, they want that win, but they say, all right, they know regardless, they have their spot in playoffs.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose their spot. All it's going to affect is their seeding, which ultimately
Sure.
doesn't matter. It does matter. But it doesn't matter. We need to come out healthy because what are we doing this for? Is for a title. We're not here for just league. We're here for a beyond that, right? So,
And just remember, everyone is 0 and
yep.
0.
That's right.
Absolutely. Amen, coach.
That's right.
Just win. Survive in advance.
Exactly.
What matters, what happened in the regular season, doesn't matter.
Thing of the past.
Onward.
Forward and
Actually,
onward.
you know what? Okay, let me correct myself. I just realized that they're playing Valley Christian, not SoCal. Sorry, guys. St. Francis is playing Valley Christian, not SoCal's playing Reardon.
Right.
So,
And Reardon is
Caught myself. I
starting
caught
to
myself.
put it together. This is the team that we expected.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Better late than never.
Hey, they're putting it together. This is the right time to get hot.
Yep. We've
Exactly.
said it.
I mean-
we said that on week 4, week 5, right? When we're at that pivotal point. Either you're in or you're out, right?
Yeah.
So, man, I love playoff football, guys. I love it.
You know-
I love it, man.
You know, this matchup is going to be interesting. Reardon and SoCal,
Yeah.
right? Interesting matchup. You know, I think Reardon is the favorite right now. In the bottom half, D1. They're not going to be in the open because they're not the top two, or the 1 seed or the 2 seed. They're not that. I think they are the favorite right now for the Division 1. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, we're assuming it's St. Francis SI in the final next week, right? So whoever loses that game is probably going to play Reardon, I'm assuming. But,
Yeah.
you know, hey, Sarah looks good. Looks pretty damn good, too.
Yeah.
Without taking too much time going into, is there any other interesting matchups in other brackets? Do we know about?
Yeah, I was going to ask you
Yeah.
guys, do you guys have any other matchups that you guys are interested in?
Livermore, Granada,
Livermore, Granada.
Part 2.
Okay.
Back-to-back weeks. Jake, you were... Well, I guess we can recap a little bit. and
Yeah,
kinda
a little
preview
bit.
it,
Yeah,
right?
this was a great game. I mean, when both teams show up, student section's going crazy. I mean, they had the Chick-fil-A cows out there.
They did.
Yeah.
No, you mean Crumble?
No, well, I had Crumble out there, but
Yeah.
they also had Chick-fil-A out there.
Sweet.
Oh, really?
They did,
right.
yeah. So and then they
Oh,
did a halftime field goal challenge. And
Oh, really?
Is it anything like College Game Day? Did anyone shank it real bad?
there was one guy that shanked it. It
Never
was
had a
just-
hard to
chance.
do, man.
Yeah, it's hard because everyone's looking at you to make that field goal, and it's like, dang.
Yeah. So was everyone watch that Tampa
So-
Bay game?
So, Jake, I mean,
This was a great game. Let me tell you, this was a great game. I mean, Granada, they got off to a rough start. They had some costly turnovers, and those Livermore Cowboys were able to convert those turnovers into points. And, you know, they stopped throwing the ball too much, and they started focusing more on the run game. And when they were implementing the run, then they started to throw the ball just a little bit. It wasn't like anything crazy. But Jack Badger got off to a slow start
What a
for
name.
those Matadors. Threw a couple picks, but he was able to keep his poise and his composure throughout the second half. There was a big 4th down call that Granada was trailing, 4th and 1, and the ball was spotted at the 28-yard line. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world are they doing? I'm thinking to myself, you're going to go for it?
On their own 28.
On their own 28, you got all 3 timeouts, and I'm pretty sure there was like 6 minutes left to go in the game.
Wow.
Granada rolled the dice, and it paid off, and it was a huge run. Badger kept it. and it was
boy.
a huge run. And just right from there, you just knew the momentum shifted right
Absolutely.
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Esteban Duarte, he was able to convert on one of his 2 touchdowns in the game to give Granada the lead. And then defensively, when they needed to make a play, when it was needed most, they did that. They forced a fumble, and it was a huge victory for those Granada Matadors to win their first league title since 2018.
Wow. There we go.
So, Jake, I mean, I know it's our Chick-fil-A game, so Chick-fil-A will be there again,
Yep.
hopefully, with the cows and the
Yeah.
challenge. So, what does Livermore have to do this week? Obviously, you're coming off a tough loss,
Yep.
and now you got to turn around, playoff season, knowing, hey, you lose, this is it, you're done. What does Livermore have to do to correct the loss from
They
last
need to play like they did in the first half.
Okay.
And everything starts up front. Defensively, they did a good job in the first half. They forced those 2 turnovers, and they were able to convert those turnovers into touchdowns. So defensively, if you can win the turnover game, I think you got a really good shot.
Okay.
You really do. And I think Matteo Lorti, he played a great game. He took a lot of hits under center. I mean, so I think the line is going to have to step up and dominate the line of scrimmage. So I think Livermore, what they did offensively, they were fine. They didn't have many deep plays down the field. I mean, they were just, grinding through, the big 8-yard runs every time, or they would sling it for like a first down for like 14 yards, and they just kept moving the ball down the field efficiently. So Livermore just needs to keep doing that. They just need to play their game. And if you do that, and if you win the turnover battle, you're going to set yourself up in a good position to win this ball game.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
The only
Okay, go ahead.
Well, no. I was just gonna say the only other CCS matchup I know I was looking at last Friday. I was at Branham for a Lee Branham game, so I was talking to a lot of coaches there that I know. And they're on in the D4.
Lee?
No.
Or
Branham.
Okay.
Branham is that guy. As much as I love my Longhorn, just Branham had far too much momentum. They just had too much gas in it compared to Lee. I mean, they kept it narrow in the first half, but yeah. With that being said, Branham, though, on to CCS D4 bracket. I forget what seed, and they're playing a Monterey school. I want to say I'm mixing up North Salinas with North Monterey. I know it's a Monterey school. I have to look closer at it.
It might be
where
North
I
County.
think
It might be. Well, again.
I think that sounds right, but they're
might be
playing on a
North Monterey
Thursday.
County.
They had agreed to play Friday. Now they're playing Thursday.
Hold on, they're
instead.
playing Thursday.
Yes.
Oh, I wish we have that more.
Can I tell you Can I tell you another interesting matchup?
Okay.
Half Moon Bay, Palo Alto.
Yes,
Now
I
that's
saw that
another
one.
That's a
interesting matchup.
very interesting.
Thank you for bringing that
D3
up. I forgot.
showdown.
Yeah.
Oh boy, can Palo Alto stop
The run.
the run?
Yep.
Run.
Run. Did I mention it? Run.
One more time.
Yeah, run.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
I think that's going to be a great game. So that's going to be the big question for those Vikings. Can they stop the run? Adler Halterman, he's the big man on campus for those Cougars.
Yep.
Man.
Sure.
He is the big man. And, if Dusty Demas needs to make a play with his arm, he will.
Yeah.
He will. This is a big game for both teams. That's going to be a very exciting D3 showdown, and it's our Crumble Cookies game of the week.
There you go. We will have Crumble there.
We got a lot of good playoff football,
Well-
NCS and CCS.
Well, let me say another
Sure.
matchup. And so yesterday I was driving up to Daly City because we had like a little family reunion stuff. And so the brackets were coming out as I was driving. So like I'm not trying to like get a ticket, but I was kind of paying attention a little bit on my phone.
you
like you
just
did.
self-incriminated yourself. Self-incriminated yourself.
So
think
I
that's a
didn't
double
get caught.
negative.
I didn't get caught. Still, thank God. So it's both sections did a good job in just producing these brackets, and it was a tough decision to like Wilcox Santa Teresa.
Yeah.
I could have put this in the schedule. We're not shooting it this week, but very very interesting matchup. Wilcox Santa Teresa. That's gonna be a fantastic game, and it's at Wilcox.
Yeah.
So
All right, so let's move over to the volleyball NorCal bracket.
and this
Yup.
okay.
There are some questions. So the biggest question for me, the Salinas Cowboys, they went on to win back-to-back D1 titles in the CCS.
Yep.
So can you explain to me how in the world in the Division II bracket that they are ranked lower than the Branham Bruins, who have a 1 seed, and as a matter of fact, they have a first-round bye?
It's a great, great
Does
question.
that make any sense?
Make it make sense.
I don't know. Unfortunately, how the CIF seeds their volleyball and basketball stuff, that's
because
a little bit above my
the
pay grade.
message that I'm getting from this is, oh, the section title game didn't mean squat.
Well, I will say this, and
Jack Diddley squat.
this has been brought up before almost every year, especially with basketball.
Right.
I would say, Tamalpais. Tamalpais is the NCS Division I champion.
Yep.
NCS Division 1, not D2, not D3. No disrespect to those teams that won section titles in lower divisions. Division 1, and they're being forced to go on the road against Palo Alto, who, I mean, listen, Palo Alto was a CCS Open Division
They
team,
were.
but,
I think that
Tamalpais should be hosting a playoff game,
Yep.
at least for the first round, because they're section champions. Now the Salinas thing is more you can criticize that more because they beat Branham in the semifinal round.
Yeah. I think that makes sense though, because you got to keep in mind though that Tamalpais Palo Alto matchup. Just remember, Palo Alto won a first round matchup in the Open. I think that's
fine.
I think that's enough to at least host a game. Now, for Tamalpais, I think you could say, well, we should be at least hosting a game.
Exactly.
You should be at least a 7 seed or an 8 seed. But unfortunately, they're a 9 seed. I don't get that. I think they should have been squaring off with. I could see Tamalpais hosting Carondelet. They're the 7 seed. So Carondelet, they didn't win a first round matchup in the Open.
And they lost to, so they were like
They
the
lost to
6th place
Logan
team.
in 3 sets.
That's right.
So that's where I'm looking at this bracket. I'm thinking, does this make any sense? And it just doesn't. And then SRV, they got a semifinal round exit, and next thing you know, they're looking all fine and dandy, and they're rolling in D2 being the 1 seed. So these brackets, I mean, I'm telling you, they just don't. I just don't get it.
Well, they take into consideration, what did you do this season? But you're winning a section title should be, that should be like the number one thing. Did you win a section title? Yes. So, that should be enough for you to host at least the first round, right? In my opinion,
I would agree.
I think, in my opinion, Tamalpais should be the 8th seed and Palo Alto should be the 9th seed, right? Or you can, like I said, they could have been the 7th seed, but it's such a shame. But the Salinas one is just an eyesore. I just cannot not talk about that. How is Salinas seated lower than Branham when they beat Branham? No disrespect to Branham.
I think that was D3. I mentioned D2. I think it's D3.
So D3,
just to correct.
okay,
Yep.
D2 or D3, whatever the case may be. We love Coach Heather. We love Branham, but they should not have been the number 1 seed.
Right.
Salinas should have been seated higher. Oh, look, we got some
hello. Sorry.
from the other podcast. So let's
right.
put that on the side.
Sorry.
Anyway, that's okay.
Unreal,
Hey, we got some hidden
revealed
stuff
a
going on
gift.
here.
I didn't realize. Sorry.
But
Staying on
again,
track.
Again, Salinas should be seated higher. They're the section champions, right? And they beat Branham in the semifinal round. So
So the bracket is chaos.
What's interesting though in this D1 bracket, there's a chance in the second round James Logan could square off against Foothill
again.
We would love to see that.
And
Absolutely.
if everything goes as planned, or if James Logan or Foothill they went on the win their first round matchups, it would be a 5 versus 4 seed
And it's
at
Logan again.
Logan.
And
At
it was
Logan.
4 sets. It was 4 sets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last Saturday. For the most part, I think in Division 1, they kind of got the seating right, like Logan,
Right.
Foothill, all that stuff. It's just the Tamalpais Pally thing. It's a little bit iffy, but
I'm curious with this chaotic seeding, how chaotic it made your volleyball poll.
Well,
Not to get ahead of ourselves. I'm just curious.
Well-
I got to hear it.
well, it was chaotic. Was it on Tuesday or Wednesday night? But let's go through it. Let's
Sure.
go through it. All right. Well, Branson, hey, still the number 1 team, and no surprise, they are the number 1 seed in the NorCal Open Division bracket, and they will be playing Rockland on Wednesday. St. Francis, who won the CCS Open Division, is the number 2 seed in the Open Division bracket in NorCal's, and they are also our number 2 team. They will be playing St. Mary's of Stockton, who won, I believe they won the Sac Joaquin section Division 1 title. So congratulations to St. Mary's. Marin Catholic, our number 3 team. They were the NCS Open Division runner-up. Lost in 3 sets to Branson again.
That Branson team
At
is just
Branson.
Yeah.
Branson is
amazing.
good.
Those bowls
so
are
this
no
is gonna
joke.
be very interesting.
No bowl there.
This is going to be very, very interesting. So Marin is the number 4 seed, and they are hosting the Midi Monarchs. And we'll get to Midi in just a bit.
Yep.
Logan, number 5.
Yep.
They were 3rd place in the NCS Open Division bracket. They beat Foothill in 4 sets, and they are hosting Pleasant Grove, I think in Chico? I think they're from Chico in NorCal Division 1 as the 4th seed. Number 6, Midi. And here we go. Midi lost to St. Ignatius. They were up 2 sets to none, and they got reverse swept. So that was a shocker because they dominated SI all year.
Yep.
So that tells you it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. But Midi's our number 6 team, and they will be traveling up to Marin Catholic as the 5 seed in the Open Division. Foothill, number 7. They were 4th place in the Open Division in the NCS. They are playing Christian Brothers. They will be hosting them in D1 as
Never
their
heard of that
number
school.
5 seed. Redwood is the 5th place team from the NCS Open Division. They're our 8th team in our poll, and they will be hosting Vacaville as the 6th seed. Tamalpais, number 9. They are the NCS Division 1 champion, and we were just talking about this. They are the number 9 seed traveling to Palo Alto. I hope I said Palo Alto right, because Aubrey.
You did. No, you got it. You got it.
Get on me how
I've
to
been
say
paying
it.
attention.
Yeah.
Palo Alto.
Alrighty.
All right. And Capalindo, our number 10 team. They are the Division 1 runner-up in the NCS, and they are the 10th seed playing Carondelet at Carondelet. So a little bit of a chaos in the beginning of the week, and then settled down.
What are some bubble teams you would consider?
So this is hard. This is really tough now because
I know at this point of the season,
playoff,
sure.
right? Maybe Head Royce. Maybe Head Royce, right?
That's a good
I think
choice. Head Royce is good.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
It's just, again, league is not that good. But hey, they are an NCS champion, and we covered that game.
Yeah,
Covered
University Head Royce, is. I don't know. I felt like both teams in that realm were competitive with each other, but seeing like a Branson team, knowing their quality of volleyball versus
Exactly.
Head Royce, it's not comparable, right? That's what I'm thinking about.
All season we've been sleeping on the City League, the Lincoln Mustangs.
That's right.
Sure.
They're
yeah.
putting together a 30-plus win season, and they're just dominating their section. They went on to win their City League title, and now they're going to be getting the 5 seed as they're going to be hosting Sacred Heart Prep come Tuesday in their first round NorCal matchup.
Yep.
So that's another team that's been playing some really
Yeah.
good volleyball. But let's move over to the football poll.
Okay. All right. Well, De La Salle is the number 1 team.
Of course.
No surprise. They beat Clayton Valley last week, and they are the number 1 seed in the NCS Open D1 bracket against San Marin. Pittsburgh, number 2, defeated Antioch in the Big Little game. I hope I got that right. And they are the number 2 seed in the Open D1 bracket. San Ramon Valley, number 3, they beat Monte Vista 38-7 last week. They are the number 3 seed against Cal. St. Ignatius, number 4, they beat Midi last week, and they are the number 1 seed in the CCS Open D1 bracket. Marin Catholic, number 5. They are the brand new Redwood Empire Adobe League champions. So congratulations!
That was a mouthful.
Congratulations to the Wildcats, and they're playing Cardinal Newman this week. Cardinal Newman, number 6. They beat Vintage, so they finished second in that brand new league.
Shut out.
St. Francis drops all the way down to 7, And this is where the chaos ensued again in football.
Yep.
Because they lost to Reardon, who was not on our poll. And St. Francis is the number 2 seed. Reardon, the 3 seed in the Open D1. They are now back in the poll as our number 8 team.
It's a big
So
jump.
It is a big jump.
Big
So somebody
jump.
dropped. We'll talk about that in just a sec. Beat St. Francis 34-24 last week. Wilcox number 9. They are the league champs, and they beat Menlo Atherton, and they are the number 1 seed in D2 against Santa Teresa and Los Gatos. Rounds out the poll at number 10. They beat Palo Alto last week, and they are the number 5 seed in the Open D1 bracket against Sarah. So Acalanes did drop out because they lost to Las Lomas.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I mean this is a decent poll, but I do have some questions though.
Okay.
I understand St. Francis dropping.
Yes.
I do. You know, that's they lost to Reardon, and I get that. But to drop them the number 7,
Plummet, I would argue, would be
Okay,
the
now so
word
here
choice.
we go again with like when a couple weeks ago when San Ramon Valley like dropped down, right? So, you know, you look at this poll and see, you know, outside of the top 2, Dale South Pitt, right? Which of these teams won last week? Well, San Ramon Valley won last week. St. Ignatius won last week. Marin
Sure.
Catholic won last week. Cardinal Newman won last week. So, you know,
that's true.
right? So actually, Wilcox and Los Gatos moved down.
Right.
Right, they were 8 and 9 respectively, but they moved down because you know Reardon. That's more of an impressive win over Wilcox versus MA and Los Gatos versus Pali. That Reardon game was more in terms of like the victory, more impressive.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I get Reardon. They deserve to be on the poll.
Yes.
They're playing some great
Yeah,
football.
I would agree.
And St. Francis, yes, like I said, they should drop. But I guess my thing is though, is like I don't know how you can have them below Cardinal Newman because St. Francis is playing a very tough schedule. Keep in mind, Age, they play De La Salle.
I get
They're
that.
playing all these WCAL teams, and they're fighting to get these WCAL wins in like one of the toughest divisions and the most chaos that we can get out of a league in all of high school football.
Yeah.
So it's just for me though, it's like having them over Cardinal Newman. And granted, that Redwood Empire Adobe division is very tough. Don't get me wrong. It really is. But it's not the WCAL.
No,
though.
it's
I'm with
not.
Skull Sneakers on this one.
Skull sneakers.
Skull. Like Skull?
Skull Vikes.
Purple. I'm with him on that one. That's a great point, though. I think, yeah, to drop St. Francis that way, I think a little aggressive, and
Yeah.
especially if you think about the teams that they are playing, quality of teams that they're playing.
Yeah, again, it's a fair point, right? Fair point. But again, Cardinal Newman did win. So, right, when you think about rankings, who won and who lost and all that stuff. Again, I had to drop down Wilcox and Los Gatos, and they both won, right? So, again, we're going to get into the playoff season, so it'll be, I hope it'll be a little bit more easier to do the polls. So
The poll is fair, the
can't
poll is
wait.
just.
I cannot wait for playoff season.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. And the producer is telling me to wrap this show up. So I'm going to double fist it. And I'm going to start throwing papers right at the camera. And it's safe to say, ladies and gentlemen, you've been covered.
That was an aggressive one.